Okay, today's date is August 13th, 2003. The interviewee is Kathleen Finch for the New Westminster Sports Oral History Project. So Kathleen, what is your full name?
First name?
Yes.
Kathleen Ada Turley.
And where is your place of birth?
Vancouver General Hospital.
And you were born when?
1931.
Good. What is your marital status?
Divorced.
Divorced. Do you have any children's names?
One.
Yeah. And is she married?
Married.
Any children?
One grandchild.
One grandchild. Where were your parents from?
Mother was Australian and my father was Scot.
Really? And so they both came from their homelands?
Their homelands, yeah.
And they came straight to Vancouver?
Right.
Right.
And they met in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. And so how did you make it from Vancouver to New Westminster?
My parents moved when I was 3. We moved into Burnaby.
Oh, okay. And then how long have you been a resident here?
Trying to think. Probably since about 73.
Oh, okay. Could you tell me your current address?
215 Moet Street.
Good. So, tell me a bit about your sports life. When did you first begin playing sports?
I started alley bowling when I was about 18.
Oh, okay.
And got into leagues and then started 10 pins when it opened up down in Burnaby.
Mm-hmm.
Got into curling and I wasn't happy with that. I got chilblains from on the ice.
What are chilblains?
Sort of like a hive, only it's not hot, it's cold.
Oh,
so
strange.
Yeah, and it's like the world. I don't know why, because I can go out in the cold weather and it doesn't seem to bother me, but
right.
It was something, I guess, just standing on the ice or something like that.
Right.
But you got to remember too that 20, 25 years ago the curling arenas were very, very cold.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
So when I moved, we were living in Burnaby, and my mother joined the New Westminster Club, the lawn bowling.
Oh, okay.
Because my aunt and uncle had moved to White Rock, and they joined a bowling club, got my mother into it, so then my mother got me into it.
Right. And did you go kicking and screaming, or?
No. I thought, well, I'll try it out,
Right.
And I liked it, so
right.
I sort of quit all the other, indoor, 5 pins, 10 pins. I quit that, and I quit the curling.
Oh, and you went straight for lawn bowling.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you started around 18. Is there a reason why you didn't do sports before that?
I'm not the build to do sports. No, I was never any good at running.
Right.
I used to do acrobatics and stuff like that. I was good at acrobatics for, when I was a child and normal dancing that girls do.
Right.
But it wasn't my cup of tea.
Right. So what were you more involved in then?
Well, that's the only sport I ever did.
Right.
Really.
Right.
I played softball 1 year for a team in Vancouver, whatever you call it. Well, we didn't get paid, but I can't remember what you called it. It was a women's softball league, but I don't know. I just didn't care for it.
Right. So what year was it that first of all, I guess your primary sport then would be lawn bowling.
Lawn bowling, yeah.
And what year did you begin that?
When I was 18.
And so that would be...
My mother got me involved. My mother was involved at the New Westminster Club, and so she got me up.
Right. So you were 18. Were there a lot of young people then?
Nobody.
Oh, really? You're the only one.
And I'll tell you, some of the ladies didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Well, when you're young, you've got your eyesight, you've got no arthritis, you've got no rheumatism, you're healthy and strong, and it doesn't go over too good with a 70-year-old.
Oh, I see.
At the time.
Right.
Whereas women now today are much stronger at 70 than they were.
Right.
When I started. How many years ago was that?
Right. And so what was it? Was it just women that you played with at the beginning?
Mostly when you first, it was kind of tough in a way when you were that young into bowling, because mostly people didn't go into bowling, lawn bowling, until they retired, which was a shame. But now they're coming at 9, 10, 11 years old.
Oh, really?
They have, or on Vancouver Island and different places, they have really strong club members of juniors. And so I understand you got your 50-year pin last year, so you've been involved since 1952, I guess. Right. And has it always been just with the New Westminster Club? No, in order to become competitive, I had to join another club, and I joined Vancouver South because they were younger people and very highly competitive, and they still are.
And they still are.
Yeah, whereas New Westminster Club is more retirees. There are, I would say, a half a dozen men that live in this vicinity that, are in their 30s, 40s that belong to the club.
Right.
But, you never see them in the daytime. They're working, of course.
Right.
They come up in the evenings and they practice.
Right. So when you started, did you, describe to me sort of how you get involved in lawn bowling, how you become a beginner novice to a expert.
Jeez, I don't know. You just, it's like anything that, any of your bowling or curling, you start out and you learn the ins and outs, and there's a book of rules and regulations, and there's, etiquette to learn, which there is in every sport, and you just go out and learn the game and start practicing, and you start out as a lead, and then you get better, you go to a number 2, then you go to a number 3, and then you go to a skip, if you've got the, ability.
Right.
So it's not a matter of I will advance, it's a matter of whether you can do it, or, just how proficient you are.
Right. So what explain to me, what does a lead do at a second and third? Or?
Well, it's the same as curling. When you look at it that way, your lead, sets the tone for getting as close as they can, and the number 2 is supposed to protect it.
Right.
The skip protects it some more, or clears it up, or if the shot's not there, gets the shot. It's the same as, all those sports where there's a team like that. And the skip directs them.
So did you always play in a team then?
Well, normally every day if you go up to the green to play, it's a team game.
Right.
But you can go up there, which you'll often see the young men come up, like after work for an hour or half an hour, and just throw balls on their own, or meet one of their friends and practice, because they're working all day. And they play pretty well. The men play on Saturdays and Sundays, and they play at all the different clubs in the Lower Mainland.
Oh, okay.
And it's, competitive that way.
Right. But you must have competed in some capacity, even when you started.
Right.
So explain to me what does that mean? How do you compete?
Well, there's, the different clubs around the Lower Mainland and the island and Seattle, whatever you want to go to, have tournaments. So you can go to the tournament. It's usually a day, like there's one up at New West today.
Right.
And it's a tournament, and it's competitive, but that's like a one-day thing. Then there's where you can go from club to club, and visitations, which they're competitive to a way, but not that competitive. And then there's the games held by the provincial bowling board.
Right.
And from those, you go to the Canadians.
Oh, okay. So you have to, and then once you go to the Canadians, that's sort of the epitome of it.
The high as you can go.
Right. So have you ever been to the Canadians?
Yeah.
And what was that like?
I first went in 1981.
1981.
And I forget when the last time was. And you're competing in your category, whatever you win in, singles, pairs, triples, or fours, and you compete against all the other provinces in Canada
Okay.
in the same category.
Okay.
And it's usually 5 days, 6 days, something like that. You play 2 or 3 games a day, depending.
Oh, okay.
And they're usually 18 to 21 ends.
Right. So
they take approximately 3 hours a game.
Oh, really? That long? Eh?
Mm.
So you represented sort of New Westminster, and then you represented BC, and then you represented Canada, in a sense.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
So is there such thing as international competitions?
Well, what do you mean by international? Like, you mean against other countries?
Yeah.
Well, when you go to World Bowls, yeah.
Okay.
And if you win your province, and then, well, I think now it's changed, but it used to be when I was, in that competitive stage, there was a selection committee in Ottawa, because Ottawa is the headquarters for the Canadian Lawn Bowls. The same as it is, I think, for some of the other sports. The headquarters are in Ottawa. And that you were chosen to go on the Canadian team to play overseas.
Oh, okay.
Whereas now I think they've changed that because it was very political, of course.
Mm.
And as far as I know, they've changed all that, and you get so many points for winning certain competitions are classified as A, B, or C competitions, and you get credits or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you ever go play the World Bowl?
Yes, that's what the red jacket is all about. You get a red jacket with your gold maple leaf.
Oh, yeah. Where did you go?
Went to Australia.
And when was that?
85.
1985.
Yeah.
So describe to me what it was like going to Australia.
The greens are absolutely gorgeous.
The greens meaning where you play?
Where you play, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just fabulous. And their clubhouses are, they've got a piano bar, and it's open. They have huge kitchens. You can get your meals. You can get a full course meal, and very sophisticated. The same as England, Ireland, Wales, Hong Kong, all the British.
Oh, right.
And Ireland and whatnot. They're all the same, and they've got gorgeous, gorgeous greens.
Right, right.
And the women have their club, and the men have their club.
Oh, they don't play mixed?
Well, they play some mixed, but not as much as we do over here.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Well, they're bigger memberships for one thing, but also, I don't think they have the mixed games that we have. I mean, we go up here to New West, and you go up for the draw at say 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's a mixed draw all the time. Whereas there, they have women's clubs that are strictly women's clubs, and they have men's clubs that are strictly men's clubs. They do play some mixed, but not like we play here. But they've got thousands more players than we. A club could have maybe 5,000 or 6,000 members. Well, not quite that much. Yeah, but most of them have 4 greens on the one piece of property, like it is over in Victoria.
Right.
Commonwealth Greens has 4 greens.
And how many do you have here?
2.
2 greens here.
Yeah.
What's the Oh, well, first of all, tell me about your trip in Australia.
That's so long ago. It was very eye-opening, because it's the first time I went somewhere like that to see what was going on, and they were so far ahead of us in their sport. Like I say, the women had their clubs and the men had their clubs, and they state-of-the-art kitchens, where you can put on full meals, and then they had a piano bar, and as I say, they had open, bars, and they had big Saturday night dances. And,
oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah, really. But then, I think our membership here at New West is, I don't know, it's probably somewhere between 80 and 100. I'm not quite sure just what it is now. But, I mean, they would have, 500, 1,000 members. And, well, you can figure if they've got a women's club and a men's club in totally different places. And I'm not quite sure whether they pay for their own greens, and well, we pay for our own maintenance here.
Oh, do you?
But the greens in the clubhouse belong to the city of New Westminster.
Oh, okay.
But they don't do any of the work. We do it all.
You do.
Yeah.
You raise the money and.
Yeah. Well, it comes from our club dues.
Right. Right.
We pay our light bill, which, you know, at night, like we've got those big floodlights, and
right.
it's just like daylight playing out there.
Right.
And we pay our own light bill and water bill,
right.
Same as everybody else.
Right. So when you first started lawn bowling in the early 1950s, was there a lot of sort of people involved in lawn bowling?
More men than women.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I think here in Canada it started out as a men's club.
Really?
You know, and then some of the wives started saying, he's up there all day long, I'm going to go. I have an idea that's how it sort of came about. And now it's mixed. But like I say, in some of these other places around the world, there's it's a women's club and a men's club.
Mm-hmm. Describe to me what the greens were like when you first started in the 50s and what the club was like.
There were a lot more players.
Okay.
And I think the greens were, they were good and kept in good condition, but there has been so much going on with turf management, I think partially because of golf, and they're taught at the universities now,
right?
For turf management, and you can get, help from the universities, and like some of the trainees have come down to our green because we were having some problems, and they just, tell you what to do to correct your problems. Mm-hmm. Because it's like everywhere else. I mean, you can't have a weed in the grass.
Right. Right.
So you're fertilizing it, but which fertilizer to use, so there's so many new fertilizers coming out. Mm-hmm. And it has to be watered, but they put in, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, we put in all automatic underground.
Oh, really?
It's all underground. The watering now, and automatic. So.
Oh, okay. And it wasn't in the past?
No.
So describe to me what the facility looked like in the 50s when you first started.
Well, similar. They've added some sheds, but to hold the equipment and things like that, because the equipment is bigger and better, and as far as I know, the clubhouse is exactly the same. Oh, it used to be over on the other side, up off 10th. Which way the streets go in here? If you go out of here and up here, that's 10th, isn't it? Going that way. It used to be up there somewhere between 10th and over that side. Up.
Okay.
What's the one that goes the other way? 8th. Somewhere up there.
Was that before your time?
Oh, yeah. Wait, this has been here, well, as long as I know. Like I say, that's where my mother joined.
Right.
In 51 or something. And
so inside the clubhouse, are there dressing rooms? And
no. There's a ladies' washroom and a men's washroom, but that's about all. Right. There's lockers to keep you can keep your bowls in your locker and lock it. You put your own lock on and stuff like that. And it's only about 3 years ago, because several break-ins that it's wired now.
Oh, okay. Right.
Whatever you call it, alarm system.
Right.
But a lot of people kept their bowls there. I never did, because I was always going out to other clubs to play during the daytime. For like today, there's a women's triples up at the club.
Right.
And the women are from all the different clubs in the Lower Mainland.
Right. Right. And do they play for money, or?
No, you just I'm trying to think. I guess you do first and second prize. I guess they get some of it, because you pay an entry fee.
Right.
So they get some, but it's not.
Right. What's your favorite method of playing? Like pairs or, fours, or what's your favorite?
Pairs and singles.
Pairs and singles?
Yeah.
So you like to play on your own a lot then?
Yeah. Well, not as much as that, but it's such a nice game. But pairs to me is, it's just you and the other person against 2 other people. Mm-hmm. It's strategy that really wins the game.
Mm-hmm. So So when you used to go to play for a big tournament or something like that, would there be community members that came out to watch?
Oh, always, yeah. And the different clubs, the club itself, the members would come and watch.
Oh, so you'd have a good audience then.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And some clubs much better than others.
Right. Right.
Depended on, like North Vancouver. What do they have now? Do they have 3 greens over there, or is it still just 2? But there was always a big crowd watching there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about New Westminster people? Would they come out?
Quite. The bowlers, some would and some wouldn't. The people that, how can you put it? Some people are just like daytime bowlers. They come up there to bowl and that's it.
Mm.
And they're not interested in competition.
Oh,
they're not interested in going to another. They'll go, like, ladies have visitation days. All the men do too. And there's one up at New West today. It's ladies' invitation, where the women bring 3 at triple from all the different clubs in the Lower Mainland, and they'll play a game in the morning, 2 games in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, I see. Right.
And it's money prizes, like you pay to enter, and then
I see.
It's split 60-40. Depends on how wealthy the club is. Some of them, they put all the money back in, and others keep a fee. Because it costs a lot of money to keep that.
Oh,
I forget how much that... I can't give you a figure. You'd have to go up and ask the men. But they'll give you a figure on what the lawnmower, the cutter costs.
Right.
And I think they've got 2 or 3 of them, and then there's rollers, and there's a lot of equipment involved in.
So, and that's always been the case, since you started. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then they water them and everything else.
Yeah, and they finally, I think it was last year. Got a frog in my throat today. Was it 2 or 3 years ago that we finally got the automatic sprinkler system in underground? Other than that, the men were hauling these big hoses around.
So you mentioned that you only went to, you went to the Canadian Nationals 5 or 6 times, right? And
81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87.
So 7 times.
7 times.
7 times. So, but you played from the 50s. So in between that time, did you just not compete as much? Or?
No. Yeah, I was working full time,
Right.
And you can't work full time. Well, you can, but you're not going to get the amount of bowling and you're required to go to these other places. I was spending more time at the green than I was spending at home.
Yeah.
You have to. It's the same in any sport. You have to dedicate yourself to it.
Right, right.
And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to advance.
Right. And so it was until you sort of retired or whatever.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What would the audience be like at the games?
Around here, it all depends if it's a certain games, then quite a few people come out, but it's not like it used to be. You used to get quite a number of people looking over the fences and then coming. I think because it's enclosed, and that, of course, is to keep animals out.
Right.
It didn't tell you about that story. The woman that drove in, you can't have animals running around. We have enough trouble with the squirrels burying their nuts in the ground.
Yeah.
Because they make a lot of damage. It's unbelievable.
I bet.
I
bet.
They big holes like this where anything that's like this, your bowl will click and go right off its course.
Right.
Because it's biased.
It has to be flat.
I brought a set of bowls out to show you.
So, would the audience cheer and things?
Oh yeah, when they're like when you're playing, even if you go on a visitation, which is just when they ask you to bring 4 rinks or 5 rinks or something, and you have a couple of games, a morning and afternoon game at one of the other clubs. A lot of the club members from that club will come to watch because they want to see bowlers from another club how they're bowling. And there's a club over in Victoria. Well, they built the Wanda Fuca greens over in Victoria for the Commonwealth Games, and there's 4 rinks all in one complex. And they have a fairly decent membership, and they get a lot of young boys.
Really?
We've got about between 4 and 6 young boys up at our club, but they've also got other sports, so that they're not dedicating their full time to it.
Right.
But the ones that are into it a little more than the others are really doing well.
Really?
You know, and one of them I know has been chosen for the Canadian national team. So we're getting our national team down to, 17, 19, 20-year-olds rather than all 65-year-olds.
Right.
Because that's a long haul to play for 14 days or whatever the tournament is, 3 games a day. Because your games take, on the greens, we'll say in Australia, New Zealand, I don't know about some of the others, any place on the, even France or Belgium, or I don't know, Belgium's weather, probably. It takes 4 to 4.5 hours to play a game of 21 ends.
Wow.
Whereas here it only takes, takes longer for that ball to draw on a fast green than it does on a slower green.
Oh, okay.
Because it's going to draw wider, right?
What does draw mean?
Instead of going straight like your alley bowling, the balls are biased, right?
Right.
So they pick up a draw and they go like this and they come into the jet. Like
so it's a curve. Right. Oh, I see.
Right.
I
So
see.
it takes mostly, well, even at Wanda Fuca when I've been over there, if it's been, warm weather like this and they don't water the green for a couple of days, it can run up to 21, 22 seconds, and that's pretty fast.
Right.
It takes long time for that. But, and this is why the games can take 4 to 4.5 hours.
Really? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm starting to appreciate it more and more. How much skill's involved. Tell me about sort of your championship games, finals games. What were they like? What was?
It's hard to say. I'm thinking the first one I played, it was when I won the first championship in '81, was pairs, women's pairs, with my partner. And I had a terrific lead, and that's what she was really, really good at. She could just put that ball practically where you wanted it.
Right.
Which is the biggest. To me, that's the most important part of the game, is a lead.
Right.
If your lead's not there, nobody's there.
Right.
So she was just excellent, and we were playing down at Stanley Park, and there was a huge crowd down there, and she was playing excellent, and all I had to do was save her balls.
Right.
You have somebody that's putting them in, now all you got to do is keep them.
Right.
And keep the other skip out.
Right.
And that was a good game.
And a big crowd.
There was a big crowd down there. And they even, because of it being Stanley Park and it's so well seen from the road, people would be driving along, and even the buses would slow down.
Really?
All those tour buses and everything down at Stanley Park, they stop and just go like this and let everybody see what's going on.
So at that time, would you have been representing BC, or were you representing?
If you go to the Canadians, you're representing your province.
But before
that, you're representing your club.
Your club.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how many times have you been in the provincials then?
Ever since I started, I went in the provincials as in singles right off the bat.
Really?
So, when did I? No, I don't think I did when I was working. Because I quit. It was just, I couldn't get into things I wanted to get into because they're all held during the daytime.
Right.
So I had to quit, and I didn't start back again until, when was my daughter born? I quit for quite a few years. It wasn't until I moved out of New West and went down to White Rock that I went back into it, and I went back in at White Rock.
Oh,
and then I belonged to both clubs down there, White Rock and Man Park, in order to get everyday bowling.
Oh, yeah.
But I also then, after about 6 months or so, joined Vancouver South.
Right.
Because it seemed that all the competitive bowlers migrated to that club. They would belong to their own club in their own...
Okay.
Okay. The competitive bowlers all belonged to Vancouver South. They would belong to a club in their area, but they would all belong to Vancouver South.
Right.
And
so, but when you went to the provincials, you represented
the
sort
province. Oh, no, your club.
Which would have been New Westminster, is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh,
whichever club that you bowled out of.
Was your main club?
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Your home club, more or less, is what you went with. And you went to the provincials. Once you won your provincials, then you went as Canadian.
And where would you go for the Canadian Championships?
Depended. They're held in a different province every year.
Oh, okay.
The province has to ask for the, provincials to be held in their province, and they sprinkle it out across Canada.
Right. So have you been to many of the different provinces then?
Yes, because all those years I went, won provincials. They were all on those bars. You went to your Canadians, and they were on all different provinces.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think which ones I went to.
It must have been an honor.
Yeah, it was, and of course it's on your taxes. You're fully paid all the way.
Oh, I see.
Your meals are put up by the sponsoring club, and your accommodation is put up by your province.
Right, right.
And your flight.
Right.
So, wherever you go.
Right.
But it was fun.
And do you still play now?
I still play, but just, for the heck of it.
Right.
I don't play that much because I've had 2 hip replacements, so. But they work well, but, when you were, because I'm trying to think from about 81 until I sort of more or less quit about 91, I suppose. Maybe after that, 94. I was bowling 6 to 8 hours a day.
Really?
Not every day, but just about every day.
Almost a full-time job.
Yeah. I was lucky that my mother, looked after my child.
Right.
And it was her that got me into it, so I blamed her.
Yeah. Do you have any stories that you can tell me about the greens up here in New Westminster, or the people?
When I first went there, of course, like I say, I was only 20 years old, and most of the ladies were retired ladies, and they were, well, some of them at that time hadn't ever worked, some had.
Mm-hmm.
And once you became very proficient, they certainly liked to have you on their team, but they didn't like playing against you.
Right.
Whereas the men were delighted to have me on their teams. But at that time, they didn't play that many mixed games.
Right.
And because I was working, I could really only go up there at night.
Right.
For the night bowling, or Saturdays and Sundays. And so I didn't get to know as many women as I got to know men. Right. Because, as I say, I was working. And it wasn't until I retired kind of thing, and, I had a divorce and I had some problems, and so I just quit work and said, okay, I'll move down and help look after my aunt and uncle, and the mother came with me, and we all lived together. Right. And that's how I started playing at White Rock. Right. Because I was at New West. Then, when they all passed away, I came back here. Because I like the green here, and a lot of my friends are in this area and in the Coquitlam area. And right. Right.
Right. So then, what about really special games or events? Any that stick out for you that are really exciting, or?
Well, your playdowns for your BC championship is always exciting because everybody, once you're a winner, it's the same in any sport. Once you're a winner or a double winner, triple winner, everybody's out to get you.
Right.
You know, it's,
Right.
you know, just like the girls that won the curling before girls come around, you know, for Pitland.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's up to get you once you win, though.
Right.
You know, which is fine. It makes for good game.
Good
Yeah,
competition.
sure.
So it sounds like you're quite competitive.
Yeah. I was competitive right from the start when I started alley bowling.
Right.
You know, I thought, well, if you're going to do it, you have to do it well.
Right. Right.
I was on a professional team at that time. Semi-professional, I guess you'd call it, because you're sponsored by it.
Oh, by a company or something, or
Yeah.
So even as a curler, is that? Or sorry,
As a alley bowler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're sponsored. What about as a lawn bowler? Do you get sponsored?
No, not here. You
No.
do in the overseas
Right.
places. You know, it's much more. But there's a lot more money involved over there. Like I say, you know, their clubs are huge.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many we've got members up here now, but I don't know if it would be 100.
Right.
And when I started, there was probably 300, 250.
Really?
300.
So it's declined then?
Well, people have spread out so much,
Mm.
you know, and what can I say? I don't know why. It's sort of totally different. There are over in Victoria. There are a lot of young people involved. They've got somehow maybe with those 4 greens and the what was held over there in Victoria just recently, Commonwealth.
Right.
I think that brought in, and they have some clubs. Well, I know there's one club over there, Wanda Fuca Club. It's practically all 21 and under.
Really?
And they've come over here to different tournaments we hold here, and these kids are great.
Yeah.
But they got everything. They got their health, they got their eyesight, they got their hearing, they got stamina.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas here we are at 70, you know, crotchety and 2 hip replacements, and shoulders going the way of the dodo bird.
It sounds to me, though, that in the past there was more of a community spirit. Is that right?
I think there was, because there wasn't that many greens, you know,
Okay.
whereas now there's, in the last few, you know, say 10 or 15 years, there's been a lot of greens built in, you know, like out in that one artificial out in Maple Ridge.
Right.
That's terrific to play on. That
Right.
That's just like playing in Australia or New Zealand.
Really?
New Zealand has what they call cochila. It's a weed, and it's say one of the fastest greens in the world.
Really? Huh. Interesting.
Some form of a weed, and it's just, you know. But it's very, very difficult to play on those fast greens.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you had a story about animals in the greens up there.
Squirrels.
Oh, right, you were saying
They get the nuts out of the trees around there, and then they come on the green and bury them. And they make holes like you would. They make holes like a mole. You wouldn't believe it.
Really?
And of course, your ball hits that, gone. You know, it just does nothing.
Lots of maintenance, eh?
There's a lot of maintenance on the green. The equipment, like the mower, I'm not quite sure, but I think that cost about $8,000 or $12,000 for the mower. What? They're about like Scott Bonner's and them.
Tell me a little bit about some friendships that have been formed through your playing lawn bowling.
Well, if you're playing with the same team all the time, going out and whatnot, you really form a bond. You know, and you can almost say anything to each other, and you don't get offended. You know, but I was never, possibly because I lived further away than the 2 women I used to play with, that we weren't. And we had different family commitments, that we weren't socially involved with one another after bowling.
Oh, really?
To a certain extent, but not,
Right.
you know. We didn't go out with one another on a Saturday night or anything
Right.
like that. No.
It was just strictly
It was,
bowling.
yeah.
Right. So what about some friendships? Do you still maintain contact with some people?
Oh, pretty well, sure, because I go around, I'm not playing anymore, and, I go around to the different greens when I know that there's something on and I want to go and watch.
Right.
And the girl that I was overseas with on my team, Alice from here, she still plays, and I'll go and watch some of her games when she's playing.
Right.
She's still playing in the daytime, and well, she's a lot younger than I am, and also she retired from Burnaby Municipal, where she worked, and she's going around to these ladies' daytime, and if it's not, I'm not going to go into Vancouver to watch. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm tired of traveling that freeway back and forth. So, but now once in a while I go out to Maple Ridge because I like watching them on that artificial turf. It's a totally different game. And they water it down, put the sprinklers on to slow it down.
Really?
It gets very, very fast.
Huh. So tell me about sort of what impact has lawn bowling had on your life.
So you made a lot of friendships.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of learned, by going overseas, you learned quite a bit about, the sport in other countries and the people. Seems that the people involved are sort of all the same.
Oh, really?
It's well, I guess it's the same in any sport. And once you're involved, you're always involved in one form or another.
Right.
But I never kept in contact with any that we met anywhere.
No.
It's why? Because I'm not going to be running off to Australia or.
Right.
But anybody that took your name and address, if they happen to be coming this way, so often will give you a phone call saying how you doing and blah blah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But that's about all.
Do you feel that lawn bowling is important to a place like New Westminster?
Oh, very much so. It's a real niche that you can start at 15 and go till you're 55 or 60 or 85, as long as you have got your legs and arms. You can, because you don't have to worry about your breath, because it's a slower game.
Right.
And you can, play it for years.
Right. Yeah. And what about sports in general? Do you think it's important for people?
Sports?
Yeah.
I think everybody should be involved in sports in one way or another, no matter what it is.
Why is that?
Well, we don't do any work anymore.
Right.
When I was a child growing up, I had to mow the lawn and weed the garden and pick the berries and help your mother can and all this stuff. It just isn't done anymore. So that I think kids are becoming couch potatoes. I can see it in my granddaughter. What's she going to do? So they live in an apartment.
Right.
So she can, put her into swimming and put her into tennis and stuff like this in the daytime and in the summer. But what do they do all winter? They watch the boob tube, do their homework and watch the boob tube. But as I say, when I was growing up, I think we got television, about 1952? Something like that.
But by then you're grown up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think that's about it. Is there anything that you think I've missed that you'd like to add?
Well, I've often wondered what the way is to go about getting more members involved, because it's, the membership is down in all the clubs in BC, but in Ontario they're growing, in Alberta they're growing. So why? What the difference is that Alberta has to have something, or Ontario has to have something in the summer because they have their winter sports. because you know, if you curl, because I've often talked to some of the girls that, well, I knew a couple of girls that were curling down here and played. One of them played on that Canadian team. And I said, what you guys should be doing in the summertime is coming out and lawn bowling, because it's the same action.
Mm.
It's exactly the same. You have to know your weight. You have to know where the draw is, which is the same as curling. You know, other than you don't get chilblains from the cold. You get sunburn from the heat.
Right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.